folks. This is David Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew, with the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Tune in every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to Jess TV on Facebook or jessfm.ca, www.jessfm.ca. You can pick that up on Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and the NCG Television Network in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Once again, folks, my name is David Monroe. I'm Marilyn Monroe's nephew, actor of soundtrack, and I'm the grandson of legendary Hollywood films director Jack Stubbs. He was best of friends with Walt Disney, as you see my Mickey Mouse hat here. He was Elisabeth Taylor's booking agent and talent manager, as well as Mickey Rooney's booking agent and talent manager. Walt Disney and his sister Ruth used to frequent my family's private home for dinner engagements on a regular basis. And today on the Marilyn Monroe Show, I have my fabulous personal assistant, Sherry Severs from Canada. She was a firefighter captain in Canada turned producer. We met at the Oscars Luxury Gala viewing 2024 at Samira's event at 555 Universal Sheridan, which they'll have another event March 2nd of this year, the biggest networking event in the world in motion pictures and entertainment and music industry. Met Sherry there, took a couple of pictures together on the red carpet. We become friends on Facebook, and we began collaborating entertainment projects together, bringing our networks together from the United States and Canada. And first of all, I wanted to shout out to everyone who's suffering from the fire here in Los Angeles. I'm a victim as a direct result of that fire. My car was burned up, and the home that I was living in was burned up as well. So I'm a victim of the fire myself. I have first responders in my family. My uncle was a homicide detective for 40 years in Glendale, California. And many first responders in my family. So I collaborate with the firefighters and first responders, and that is a big reason why I chose Sherry to be my personal assistant. So now we've got a Kenwood fire, we've got a Pacific Palisades fire, we've got a Sylmar fire, we've got a Hollywood fire. Everything is in just shambles here. There's ashes floating about, tooling about in the air up here. So, if you're out there, you want to kind of wear a mask, and, it's kind of a health hazard out there right now. And so one of the worst fires, or the worst fire in Los Angeles history. So I want to, pay respect to everyone, like myself, who is suffering as a victim, as a direct result from the fires out here in Los Angeles. And, Sherry, you're a firefighter captain. You've been watching everything that's been going on. Tell us about you, your journey in life, how you turned firefighter producer. We'll talk about your projects, but first I want to get your comments on, your personal opinion as firefighter captain about the fire and what's going on out here in LA, Sherry. Sherry Severs, folks.
Hello, everybody. I'm pretty, my heart's breaking for everybody that's going through what they're going through. And it's really hard for me not to want to jump down there. But seeing that the Canadian water bombers are down there and there's a bunch of crew that have showed up, the Canadians are helping out with the fires as much as they can. And right. I'm used to having water bombers and helicopters working with. And, it's just so nice to see the extra support. And I'm hoping that they're really making a difference. And I mean, this is going to be a long-term effect for everybody. And my heart goes out to everybody, especially anyone that's lost anyone.
Sherry, up there in Canada, I've collaborated with firefighters and worked charitable events, setting up, organizing charitable events for several firefighters unions, the Fraternal Order Police Lodge that I worked for several years. They have a big Christmas dinner for handicapped kids every year and things. And so I have been a lot of experience with, fraternal charitable organizations that have to do with first responders, police, firefighters. The Canadians up there, they had a thing called the Super Scooper. And that was a big plane with propellers, and it would go down in the reservoir and pick up the water and then come and drop it. So
That was the
in previous
Mark.
years in Canada, yeah, they've used that super scooper before. So I think there's like 2 of them. So I don't know if those are in effect or if they'll be using those for these fires. I know they have the helicopters, they get the baskets, and then they go drop the water on them and that, so there's certain and then they do controlled burns and things, to be able to put fires out and that. These guys are out there in the APR units and that, self-contained breathing apparatuses and everything. So, God, what a tough job, putting their lives on the line, to save property and people out here in Los Angeles in any fire, So, the firefighters, they don't get enough recognition. They don't get paid enough. I think they should all get a raise. Firefighters are our heroes that are out there, on the firing lines of life. They're narcanning people back to life every day from the fentanyl epidemic, people dying, dropping off left and right. And these, firefighters like Sherry here, they save people and children from burning buildings and things. These are our real heroes. So a big shout goes out to the firefighters here in Los Angeles and the Canadians that are down here collaborating with the Los Angeles Fire Department and all fire departments from all around the country. Collaborating in an altruistic fashion with which to put out these fires here in Los Angeles and save property and person. A tough deal going on out here. I'm a victim as a direct result of that. I'm having to stay at a Red Cross shelter myself because I lost my home and my mechanic's home got burned up where my car was parked. I was waiting on a fuel pump to be delivered from Germany because it was an old 1993 BMW 740iL, and we couldn't even go to the shop or pick a part and get a part. We had to order it, so it's sitting in his driveway. So guess what? I lost my car, camera equipment, cinematography equipment, and so a big setback for me as well. However, I've still got a great attitude, and I'm still pushing forward, in entertainment projects and here on the Marilyn Monroe show. Sherry Severs is absolutely fabulous, folks. Firefighter captain turned producer. And after we met at the Oscars Luxury Gala, she became very involved in my family lineage, the history of my Aunt Marilyn Monroe, my family history, a story that's never been told before, folks, because my family lived in fear their entire lives that one day, perhaps, the CIA and the mob will invade our home and murder everyone, just like they, Marilyn Monroe, President Kennedy. So these are things that we've never been able to, bring to the table for fear. My poor grandmother lived in fear her entire life, for fear that, they might come in and we just, disappear one day. My poor grandmother and grandfather, he created all those fabulous pioneering motion pictures, casting all the icons in films he directed, Elizabeth Taylor, Judy Garland, Raquel Welch, Dean Martin from the Rat Pack. The list goes on and on. To have to live your life in fear your entire life. And we did. We all did. My poor grandmother, when there was a backfire outside from a car, she would jump out of her skin. She would lose sleep at night. And so this is a story that's never been told, and Sherry's been very involved with me. She's been very supportive and very helpful. She even, living in Canada, there was a 1953 film that my Aunt Marilyn Monroe shot at the Banff Hotel in Banff Springs, Canada, The River of No Return, and Otto Preminger full-length feature film, and they also shot it in Jasper, Canada. And so that's the famous scene where you go in the hotel and my Uncle Joe DiMaggio and my Aunt Marilyn Monroe are kissing in the window scene in there. A very famous picture if you're a Marilyn Monroe fan. And so, Sherry, being in Canada, she lives about 3 hours from the hotel.
An hour.
Oh, an hour. Okay. Well, so an hour there and an hour back. So Sherry drove up there and did some live films for me and took pictures and contacted the people at the hotel. And we'll be looking for that in the future as a film location in my biopic family perspective film, Marilyn, The Truth Forever Monroe. Brad Pitt went out and did a 2022 film entitled The Blonde, for $22 million, predicated on fiction. My film is predicated on fact. So there's a big difference here. And so Sherry was, being my personal assistant, she went out to the hotel, took some pictures, did some films for me, sent them back to me so I could post what a hard worker she is and how dedicated she is to being my personal assistant, participating in all my projects, as I've got 6 Marilyn Monroe genre films under contract to be made with my fabulous multi-award winning film composer Mariano Solano and his wife, Pioneer Studios, Calabasas. He's very near the fire, so I'm hoping he's doing all right and safe out there. Him and his wife, they're fabulous people. And he wins the music award at the Hollywood Music Awards every year as the best film composer. So we have some tremendous names attached to our projects. And so, Sherry, I want to talk about your life, your journey in life, how you became a firefighter captain, and how you turned producer. And I'll give it to you, Sherry.
Well, I ended up being did 14 years frontline on fires across Canada, and I went from BC all the way to Manitoba. And it was mostly in the northern provinces. A helicopter would drop us off, and we would just go in and attack the frontline fires, try and keep them from getting into communities. And then after 14 years, I went back home, and there was a grass fire. I saw it, and I jumped on it, and I saw that not everybody was doing what needed to be done right. And so, me being me, I just kind of went, wait a minute, you guys aren't doing it right. And there was a house in danger, and I was very concerned about it. So I just started directing the guys that were off the fire department how to tackle it properly. And at the end, the chief came up to me, he goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, I'm Sherry. And he goes, "Well, wait a minute, I've heard of you." And I was like, oh, he knew that I was a firefighter. So he asked if I would join the department because he didn't have the experience of the bush and the grass. And I said, I would absolutely teach you, but you teach me buildings and the first responder, because I was also an industrial first aid attendant at the time as well. But I wanted to up my game more. And so I joined the department, and after 2 years, I became a captain. And the respect that I got, and the guys would just, it was never a chauvinistic thing at all. It was out of respect. We're trying to save lives as quick as possible. That was always the goal. And when you're hurt, having a female go up to them right away calms them down first. That versus a male. It's just it's not a male-female thing. It's just children gravitate to a mom figure. So I would show up, and they would kind of calm down a little bit more. And it gave us those extra seconds that we always needed. And then I met a guy, and I followed him and left that and got a daughter. And now I'm, that was another life, and I left that. And now I got into acting, and I discovered that my passion. I actually went on, I was asked if I would go background on a Hallmark movie. And this Hallmark movie, Me and Mr. Christmas, I went there and I loved it. And I was like, wow, I could see this. And I'm super creative. So when I saw everybody and everything that was involved, and the creativity of taking words on a page and then creating the visual art of it, just blew my mind. And being so artistic, I'm like, wow, this just kind of like itched a part of my brain that went, you got to check this out. So I went into acting classes, and I've done a little bit of stunts, not much, just a little, but I just fell in love with it. And now I just can't seem to stop. I've done lots of acting in a bunch of full feature films, shorts, commercials, and, and I've produced a music video, a short film, and a full feature film, and now going on to producing the Chuck Slocum one, the documentary.
Yeah, that's a great deal. I've known Chuck Slocum and these rockers and Steve Miller and guys attached to Steve Miller and musicians all my life. I've known some fabulous guitarists, some friends of mine that are attached to Peter Grant, and some other big promoters as well that I've known throughout the years. As a matter of fact, when I was at the Palms Hotel and Casino, I was coming down in the elevator, and Jason Bonham was in the elevator with me. And so he had on glasses and a ball cap. and a beard, his big glasses. I would have never known who he was. And so I started talking to him. The Sammy Hagar in the Inner Circle was there that night at Palms Hotel and Casino. And so I struck up a conversation with him, and I told him that, I knew some, guitarists that were friends of mine that were under Peter Grant's management. And he told me, oh, that's interesting. He goes, my dad's manager was Peter Grant as well. I said, well, who are you? And he took off his glasses and he said, I'm Jason Bonham. I said, Jason Bonham, how are you doing? So when I told him who I was, we went down, we had some dinner together, and then I went to the concert. We took some pictures together with Jason Bonham, Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience. And now he's been playing drums for Sammy Hagar for 9 years. And during the conversation at dinner with Jason, he told me, he says, Dave, he says, Sammy, I asked him, when are you ever going to quit? You're getting old. And Sammy said, he told Jason, he says, when I die, that's when I'll quit. So, you can't drive 55, right? So some of these rockers are great, but they're not getting any younger.
No.
And these guys are getting raped on their, record contracts and streaming contracts with some of these streaming platforms and things. Now, I don't want to mention any names, but I can give you an example of a certain streaming platform that's very popular. Everyone listens to it, and there are some certain artists that are extremely popular and have been around for years. And one of the artists told me, Dave, he says, on that streaming platform, I got over 10 million streams on my catalog of music. And the streaming platform sent me a check for less than $10,000. So these contracts are just, they're getting 0.000%, like, 10 million bucks, they're getting $10,000. These are the guys that are putting in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears to record music, which I do as well, R&B, rap with Slim Monroe and Marilyn Monroe Music under Music Tracks, a subsidiary of Music Tracks Films, which is the Barry Fay record label. And, Barry Fay, he was the manager of the Rolling Stones. He took Led Zeppelin on their very first North American tour, the Doors on their very first North American tour, out at Red Rock, under a blood red sky. He went over to Europe and found a band called U2 and brought them over to Red Rock and booked over 900 shows at Red Rock in that very fabulous venue out there in the middle of nowhere with the two big red rocks, and it gives that ambient surround sound, from Mother Nature as the bandstand. So what a great place. And during that time, there was this slew of all these big rock bands that were coming out. Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Pink Floyd, Janis Joplin, Steve Miller, Canned Heat, Cream, all of the U2, all of these big bands were coming in. And Barry booked and managed all of them. And, I was watching the documentary that we're presenting at the 2025 Oscars Luxury Gala viewing this year at Samira's event. And, as Bill Clinton, former President Clinton comes on and he addresses the country, when Barry apparently passed away from suicide. And, talks about all of the shows that he booked there, all of the venues that he booked there. And so it goes in the story where he met Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. Back during that time, it was like a tri-state area in management and booking agents during that time in music. And so every time the band would travel to like 3 different states, they'd have to use another guy. So Barry reached out to Mick Jagger. He told us, look, man, he says, why, have to use all these different managers in tri-states? He says, why don't you just use me, and I'll book all your shows. And so Mick Jagger, met him at a truck stop, some truck stop out here, and they signed the agreement, and he became the Rolling Stones manager and took the Rolling Stones on the very first world tour that a musical band in the history of our civilization had ever been booked on a world tour. The very first world tour ever was Barry Fay and the Rolling Stones. And so that's what we're presenting. Me and you, Chuck Slocum, who was the drummer for Les Paul, and also the bass player of the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And he's done a tremendous amount of work with Steve Miller. Abracadabra. When I was a kid, about 13 years old, Sherry, I, listened to that on the radio. And then when they came out with the music video, I was like, wow, that's my favorite, and I probably watched that like 500,000 times. That's one of those songs that you can play and you still get the vibe and good vibes and feeling from it, like you heard it for the first time. So, that type of music deserves recognition. Those guys deserve to get paid what they're, what they put out, what they deserve. And that's what we're giving back. We're giving back that old Barry Fay, fair deal. 80% for the artist, 20% for us for doing it. That's a fair deal, right? Book some good gigs, everybody's comfortable. We can lower the ticket prices for the fans because Barry loved the fans too. He wanted the fans to, have a great show and entertainment project, what a great guy, and a very talented booking agent, talent manager, the greatest music and booking agent, talent manager in the world, And so we're going to bring that deal back. And I want to get your thoughts on you're building the pitch deck for that rockumentary full-length feature film that will be presented as an offering to investors at the Oscars Luxury Gala viewing, Samira's event 2025 at 555 Universal. You can pick up your early bird special for $350. You don't want to miss out on the event. Pick up tickets. You want tickets, you can contact me, and I can get you a little discount, or her, and we can actually get you a little discount if you buy a certain amount of tickets. So you can hit us up and ask us for tickets to the Oscars Luxury Gala event. You can come and see me and Sherry out there. We'll have a booth, and we'll be showcasing the Barry Fay rockumentary, full-length feature film at the event. And we are bringing back those old school contracts. So any artist that comes and signs a contract with Music Tracks Films will be able to get an 80-20% contract and make their money and be streamed on a platform with the biggest name in music history, Barry Fay, which is a great deal. Excuse me. So I want to do a quick station identification break, and I'm going to give it to you, Sherry. This is David Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew, with the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Tune in every Sunday morning to the morning show, the Marilyn Monroe Show, with your host, David Peace Monroe, at jessfm.ca or www.jessfm.ca on Jess TV. So as you're building the pitch deck for this project as my personal assistant, and we're in collaboration with Music Tracks Films, Chuck Slocum, Steve Miller Band, I want your thoughts on how you feel about participating in this blockbuster project.
I'm over the moon. When you mentioned it to me and sent me to Chuck, and then Chuck and we've talked for quite many hours now, and great guy, absolutely great guy. And we hit it off and we connected. And then I also talked with his business partner, Lee, and the project we're working on it. And as you know, yes, I'm working on the pitch deck, and I did some work and I sent it to both of them and they loved it. There's some tweaks, like always, it's a collaboration with you got to make sure you get everybody liking the whole thing. And, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming along. And I do plan on going down to Denver shortly, probably within the next 6 months, because I want to take a look and see everything that they've got, and we're going to work together and come up with an amazing film.
Yeah, that's a rocking great hand.
More interviews. We need to get more interviews from these guys before they go. They're not getting younger. That's true, and Chuck, he works with Tesla and all these other big bands that, I can bring on the Marilyn Monroe Show in the future, building up into the, documentary, Barry Fay full-length feature film presentation to help build it up. So that's a great angle that I have as a television producer, so that I can interview people in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And we can present these projects. We can get viewers. That's what this entertainment business is all about, is viewers. Hollywood these days is 90% of it is pay to play. Until you become a marketable product, you're not going to make any money. And I'm here to tell anybody in this business, I've been doing this for 3 years. I've had to sacrifice a normal life. I can't work a 9-to-5 job. I put 24/7 into this.
I'm on a limited budget, but I'll tell you what, I'm very talented at what I do. My content is good. The movies I make are quality cinematography. It's good method acting, and the projects are good, and people like them. They're getting views. So the content that I'm putting together with nothing, a zero budget, are quality projects, and that's the name of the game in this business. Let's put together a quality project on our own and get those viewers that we need, to become a marketable product. And the magic number in entertainment is 1 million viewers. Once you get to 1 million viewers, then you're a marketable product, right? So in the entertainment business, you have to do this. So if you're going to become an actor or concentrate on something in an entertainment, you better be prepared to give up your job and put 120% into this and have a bunch of money in savings so that you can support yourself while you pursue a career in the entertainment business. That's what I've had to do, and that's what everyone else has to do. People look at Hollywood, they say, oh, there's big glamorous stuff, all these people and everything. This is hard work, guys. And to work from the ground up, it is, and to become an entertainer and become a marketable product, you got to be good at what you do. You got to have good art. You got to have good talent. Guys say, yeah, well, Dave's grandfather, he was a legendary film director. Oh, no, yeah, it's Marilyn Monroe. It was great. But what does Dave do? Okay, well, I'm going to show you what Dave does. If you follow my Facebook platform, you'll see all my AI films. You'll see my cinematography. You'll see my promotions. You'll see my fashion model. You'll see all the movies I do, the stunts, the martial arts, all these people that I work with, the events that I go to. I got to suit up. I got to boot up. I got to get to these events. I got to shake hands. I got to sit down. I got to have dinner. I got to have conversations with these people and make sure they're good kosher people you can work with, and that they're good quality projects. So there's a lot that goes into the entertainment industry, and I put my heart and soul into it. I don't do this for me. I'm doing this for my Aunt Marilyn Monroe. And when you met me and I disclosed that information to you about how I feel about my family, what I'm doing here, you said, Dave, I'd love to participate and be a full participant in your projects. And now these projects that we're creating, Sherry, are becoming marketable. We're getting viewers. It's quality content. We've got good drama and good cinematographers. We've got good DPs, ADs. I've got several film directors and entire cast and crews all over the country. They're watching me. They're interested, and they want to help me make our movies. And you're helping me to get me into a position to make these movies. And you're going to be a full participant in Marilyn: The Truth Forever Monroe, my biopic family perspective film. Tell them who your role is going to be.
Gladys Pearl, Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, you are going to be. Yeah.
But she's a tricky character because she had schizophrenia as well as postpartum psychosis. So she had a lot of psychosis, and she ended up in Rockhaven 16 years over all of this. It was, what you were saying, that she came out, she'd be out for like a little bit, and then like every month she would get put back in.
Yeah, well, see, she was from Mexico, and she migrated to the United States, and she got a job clipping film at a local editing company. And the people there felt sorry for her, because her father hung himself, and her son passed away. So that was Marilyn's brother and grandfather committed suicide. And so the people at the clipping company, they were like, they called me honey. They said, honey, that lady, when she worked for us, she would go on these full-blown conversations with her father and hung herself. So the people at the clipping company, they thought to themselves, well, if we could get this lady, they liked her. They said, oh, she's a nice lady, but she's got these mental problems. She's got this poor kid that's in these foster cares going in and out of Boyle Heights and things. And, if we could get her a job as a live-in domestic worker in some entertainment family's home, that she would have a stable place to live and she could adopt her child back from the state. And so they did. And just so happened that my grandparents, legendary film directors, were looking for a housekeeper during that time. And one thing led to another, where Gladys, her mother, got referred to my grandmother, June Stubbs, who hired her. And so she lived in our home. And during that time when Norma Jean was 11 or 12 years old, at the time of Gladys Pearl's employment, my grandparents' home as our live-in housekeeper. They adopted her from the state and brought her into our home. She slept in the same bed with my mom and my Aunt Patty Jean when they were little girls. My grandparents named my Aunt Patty Jean after Norma Jean. So they were like sisters, inseparable. And so Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe's mom, or my Aunt Marilyn Monroe, she was the only normality that the actress had during her lifetime was when she was underneath my grandparents' care. You see, her mother was, had, all sorts of trauma in her life and, was mentally challenged and would go into these full-blown conversations with her father who hung himself. And so she couldn't keep it together mentally. And so that was, as a result, Norma Jean was having to go on all these foster cares and things. So when my grandparents hired her and adopted Norma Jean into our home, the mother, like you said, kept going into these bi-monthly or bi-weekly breakdowns. And they would have to take her down to Rockhaven Sanitarium on Honolulu, La Crescenta, my hometown of La Crescenta. So they'd bring her from the house down to Rockhaven. And back in those days, they just give you some medication or whatever, and okay, she'll be okay, and send her home. Well, that kept happening. And my grandparents were like, she's not going to be able to keep it together mentally. She's not going to be able to keep employment in our home. What are we going to do with this little girl? That we've fallen in love with and adopted in our home. And so my grandparents talked it over, and they decided that they were going to cast her and turn her into a fabulous star in the motion picture industry. And so back in those days, they had entertainment parties at Catalina Island, these big fancy sit-down dinners with celebrities. And so my grandparents took her out to Catalina Island and introduced her to the Wrigleys of Wrigley's Chewing Gum. And the Wrigleys fell in love with Norma Jean, bought her own home on Catalina Island, and then she was cast in the motion picture industry. 20th Century Fox, the producers there, when they gave Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean, her contract for 7 years, they gave her a 7-year contract, changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. They've done that with a lot of celebrities over the years, changed their name because, they looked at, Norma Jean as a pinup girl, red, white, and blue, baseball, apple pie, and Chevrolet, right? So they did, as they were building her character up, they didn't want the general public to know about her tarnished past, about this mom that had mental problems and going in out of these foster care. It wouldn't look good, and it would injure them trying to build her character up. So they very carefully scripted her entire life history and covered up her mother, changed her name, and they've done that with a lot of celebrities. So that's how that went down. And, I'm not going to disclose too much of my inherited intellectual property. I've told this many times before. This is something that cannot be stolen from me and cannot be reduplicated because the actual farmhouse that we lived in when Norma Jean was under our care is my inherited intellectual property. No one knows that location but me. So, you might think take my information and make a movie, but it won't be the same as mine, and it'll still be based on fiction, not fact. I had the newspaper guys jump out on me the other day. I was on my Facebook Live. They jumped out and they said, "Dave, man," they said, this is incredible what you're doing. They says, we just had some pictures surface of your aunt that we just ran an article on up here at our local paper about her, pictures of her with her first boyfriend on her very first date up here in Tujunga Canyon. And there's never been any reports of the actress living in this area. How is that possible? I said, it's because she lived with my grandparents at the top of the hill up here. And they said, take us to the house, Dave. I said, no, I'm not taking you to the house, especially not a newspaper man. That's my inherited intellectual property. So when I recreate the film, by my biopic family perspective film, Marilyn, The Truth Forever Monroe, it will include that actual farmhouse that we lived in, and that will be a location for the film. And the Rockhaven Sanitarium where we took Gladys Pearl was a sanitarium built by women for women. And it was the sanitarium that catered to the rich and famous. So as you recall, I've done hundreds of paranormal investigations of that property. It's tremendously haunted. And on the sign on the front, on the billboard of Rockhaven, which is going to be a historical site now, as they're rebuilding it, and I'll get to that in a minute, but there's a picture of Gladys Pearl and Billy Burke, the Good Witch of the 1939 film, The Wizard of Oz, together on the billboard, showcasing, the history and development of the project and the inhabitants there. So Billy Burke, the Good Witch, click your heels, Toto. We've got to get home to Kansas. She was in there. Gladys Pearl was in there, and they were roommates. And yeah, she lived there for about 16 years. One day she slipped out of a window and escaped up to Lakeview Terrace to a church where they found her and brought her back. But eventually she had to be shut up in there because she couldn't keep it together mentally. So poor Norma Jean, as a kid, she's going in and out of these foster care as a result. So when my grandparents saw that, they loved the family. They loved, their housekeeper and Norma Jean, and they says, we're going to remedy this situation. We're going to get her started in the motion picture industry. Took her out to Catalina Island, introduced her to the Wrigleys, and the rest is history. So that being said, the Rockhaven Sanitarium, I went and I attended the developer meeting in the city of Glendale as they received an $8.2 million grant from California, the government, to rebuild it and restore it back to its historical. The site is going to be a historical landmark, and they're going to turn it into like a historical museum with arts and crafts for kids, where kids can go and watch movies and things like that and play music and stuff. And so I attended that event on TV at the development interview that they did with all the developers who have received this $8.2 million to rebuild it. So that is predicated to be completed on March of 2027. So when that development is complete and Rockhaven is restored to its original creation with all the fabulous rose bushes and cobblestone roads and things, just a really nice, place. Right now it looks like a ghost town, and it is a ghost town, and it's tremendously haunted. But when they rebuild it in my Bioptic Family Perspective film, I'll be able to reenact the events of my Aunt Marilyn Monroe living in the original farmhouse and my grandparents driving Gladys Pearl and depositing her down into the Rockhaven Sanitarium. Now, I had asked the developers if they had any of the admission records, as my grandparents would have had signatures signing her in, because once again, when you go back in history or Google, which half of it's rubbish, it's predicated that Marilyn Monroe deposited her mother in there. It wasn't her mother at all. It was my grandparents that were admitting her to the Rockhaven Sanitarium. And so just a real quick station identification break. My name is David Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew with the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV, Elisabeth, Canada, a tremendous project with global distribution. Tune in every Sunday morning to the morning show, the Marilyn Monroe Show, with your host, David Peace Monroe, to Jess TV, live on Jess TV, or jessfm.ca or www.jessfm.ca. So, Sherry, I want to know your thoughts on what I just said, as you being my personal assistant and you collaborating with me and full participation in this project. How do you feel about those developments?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think you said everything.
Yeah, it's absolutely fabulous. And then, so yeah, we've got a bunch of films coming up. The Bioptic Family Perspective film, Marilyn, The Truth Forever Monroe. We've got the Barry Fay record label is alive and well, and it's being resurrected into the music industry to give back 80-20% contracts so guys can make money again, and we can compete with all these streamers that are just reaming musicians. And so I intend to fully put them out of business. Have a good day, guys. And we're going to give it back to the artists. And so when you went to the Banff Hotel in Banff Springs, where my aunt filmed The River of No Return in 1953, an Otto Preminger full-length feature film, and also shot in Jasper, you said you discovered her, or the hotel had caught a fire as well. Is that right? What happened there?
There's a ghost that's there. It's a bride, and I can't remember whether her dress was on fire, but she fell down the stairs and she died, and she became, and it's pretty famous that she now haunts the hotel.
Oh, isn't that fabulous?
Yeah.
Well, me being a paranormal investigator, I'll have to come up there one day with my ghost tube synthesizer, and we're going to have to poke around in there. Just like out here at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, they say that Marilyn Monroe, her ghost comes there. And so I'm going to go to the Roosevelt Hotel, paranormal investigation device, some synthesizers. I'm going to run a paranormal investigation of that property, as well as the hotel when I ever make it up to Canada. So I wanted to talk to you more about your films as firefighter turning producer. You've got a project, Lisa's Echo, and let's talk about that project a little bit. What's going on with Lisa's Echo?
It's Leah's Echo.
I'm sorry, Leah's Echo, right? Leah's Echo,
and it's in post-production. We just have to do a few more pickup shots, but we've got a majority of the filming done. It's based on my character Wendy. Her daughter is about 17, goes missing for a little while. The police have already exhausted all the avenues, still can't find her. I'm going out of my way trying to find her. I'm searching, and I'm not doing so well. I have some past experiences from in the movie my husband. Well, there's some stunts involved that I don't want to give it away, but there's stunts that were involved, and it gives me a little bit of trauma. And but in the film, I was raised by this Indigenous man, and he raised me, and he gave me my spiritual compass. And so during the film, he ended up becoming an elder. So when I wasn't doing so well, he would show up. Even though he was passed, his spirit would show up and he would guide me. He was always the guiding light in the film. Whenever I was at my bottom, he would just come in and help make sure I was going on the right path. And it's beautiful. It really is. And we got some amazing locations all over throughout Alberta. We did some drumheller shots. We did a haunted hotel. We did a ghost town, some black sands, some rivers. We did about 5 different homes in Edmonton. We had the honor of doing some filming out at Lily Lake, which is also an Indigenous treatment center. And they allowed us to do some filming. It was beautiful. It was absolutely, some of the shots that we got were so stunning. You walk away and you're just like, wow, I'm so glad that was captured on film. Because it was just beautiful. And we're in the process. I've just finished the pitch deck, so we are looking for funding to work on the post-production, because we have a top quality editor, but we need to pay him. And then we're going to need money for the film festivals and to get it marketed out. So there is some money that is needed. We've done everything without, but now we really have to get some money we got to pay the cast and crew for all of their hard work. And the fact is, we need to get this finished editing, and this guy is not cheap.
All right. Well, that's a great deal, because I'm a multi-talented guy. I like to stay diversified. I used to be an investment counselor, and I know a bunch of broker dealers that I haven't even reached out to yet, up my sleeve, that can raise money through the Security and Exchanges Commission for motion picture projects through a Series 7 and Series 22 broker's license, which I know plenty of these broker dealers. So that'll be upcoming in the future. So there's, different ways and different angles to get that money. And we're going to do that. So it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Real quick station identification break, folks. This is David Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew with the Marilyn Monroe Show, Jess TV, Lethbridge, Canada, tremendous project with global distribution. Tune in every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the morning show, the Marilyn Monroe Show, and your host, David Peace Monroe. That's www.jessfm.ca or jessfm.ca or Jess TV Live on Facebook. And so our upcoming projects, we have 6 of them as my personal assistant on. The big one is the Bioptic Family Perspective film, Marilyn, The Truth Forever Monroe. And then under contract, I've got 5 other films, 3 of them are in pre-production. I have Jacqueline Seymour up in Boston, Massachusetts, who's a producer. She looks like Alice in Wonderland, sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Her house is like Alice in Wonderland. She's got great music. And so I've been talking to her, and I said, you know what? You fit the genre of Marilyn Monroe Wonderland. How about, you build the film trailer for it up there at your house on location in Boston, Massachusetts. You got the props, makeup, wardrobe. You got everything set up. You got the whole Alice in Wonderland thing. Go for it. And so she jumped on it. So I've got that in pre-production with her. Then I have a fabulous film director, Marlon Brando's daughter, Denny Angiambroni Garfola at Popcorn Movie Productions, where I made a 2023 film, Psycho Ward. I played Tom, a psychotic cannibal that lived in the basement. I had to cry and laugh hysterically in that film. So that was a role that I nailed. We developed a good relationship, and so I'm currently getting ready to sign a NDA with Denny Angiambroni Garfola for Marilyn Monroe in Oz, because she wants to be the Wicked Witch of the West with all of the terrible monkeys and things. And so I said, oh, you want to be the Wicked Witch of the West? You like that film Wicked so much. We're going to do Marilyn Monroe in Oz, and it's going to be better than Wicked. And you can be that Wicked Witch if you wish. And so I've got that in pre-production with her. And then my fabulous films director, Blanca Semparillo at Super Angels Productions here in Anaheim, California. We have under contract the Monroe universe. Marilyn Monroe and Captain Monroe and the Monroe universe, which is going to be Marvel style type of a genre characters in that film. And the reason I've turned her into Captain Monroe is because my grandfather, Jack Stubbs, legendary film director, gave birth to the Marvel universe when he directed the very first Captain America ever in the history of the Marvel universe back in 1978. So that being said, that's my inherited intellectual property with which to recreate any way I wish. My Aunt Marilyn Monroe is my inherited intellectual property to recreate any way I wish. So we have Captain Monroe and the Monroe universe. And why I think that'll go over well with viewers is because that is a genre branding that today's viewers look at. Kids and people today, Marilyn Monroe, if she was still alive, and perhaps she might be, I'm getting reports and pictures from people saying that she's still alive in protective custody. Perhaps, those people or viewers today, they wouldn't even know who she is because that was 100 years ago, right? But if you build entertainment into a branding that viewers like today, like you got Deadpool and all of these Marvel films that are still fabulous. They do well in the box office. I thought to myself, okay, well, I own the Marvel Universe genre. It's my inherited intellectual property. I own the Marilyn Monroe image. She's my aunt. So we have Captain Monroe in the Monroe Universe. So that should be very appealing and captivating. It should do well in the box office. And, being in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame myself, I work with all of the fabulous martial artists from around the world. Harold Diamond was my master for years. Rest in peace, God rest his soul. He passed away on May the 7th last year. That was a tough loss for me. He was in Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme and in the famous stick fight scene versus Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 3. He was also a Chippendales dancer. He got a lot of the women. And he was very, so people didn't like him because, he was very popular. He got a lot of good roles. So there's like a bifurcation with all of these egos and things that I have to deal with these martial artists that I'm trying to cast in these films. So it's difficult for me to do that. But Harold Diamond will forever, Marilyn Monroe lived in my work forever. He was my master. He was like a father to me, like a father I never had. My mentor, and we talked about a lot of things that you don't talk about in the motion picture industry. So I'm reaching out to all these fabulous martial artists with which to play these roles as Monroe Universe genre characters in the films. And you're my personal assistant. You're working on the films with me. I want you to tell me what your thoughts are on those films that I have in pre-production and working as my personal assistant. How do you feel about that? And what do you think that you could bring that's extremely valuable and that you can add to the projects like you always do?
I don't know what I bring. I just keep being me.
Yeah,
I do my job, right?
yeah, you do. Yeah,
I
you're a
just keep
great producer.
networking and talking to people and working on projects one after another. And if I get
Yeah,
bored, I work on another, or I create one on my own too.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, we got Leah's Echo upcoming. That's going to be a fabulous project.
I'm Haunted 3 got released. I have Alien 8 will be out in the summer. Alien 8 as in it 8, not the number.
Yeah.
It's a comedy. I play the nasty ex-wife. And
Oh,
I have a commercial coming out very shortly for Euro Motors. It's a
yeah.
comedy as well. What else do I have? I played on this short horror film called Keith, where there was this dating puppet, and I played the captain on a police department.
Yeah.
And I've got what else do I have going on? And I have a podcast that was just released a couple days ago. People can follow me on my Facebook or Instagram, preferably Instagram. My Facebook's full. I can't
Yeah,
add any.
that's a great deal. I checked that out, Sherry. That podcast. And where can people find that podcast and tune in to listen to that?
It's on both Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put it on LinkedIn as well.
On LinkedIn as well. Okay, so there's several different places that they
I have a Linktree account, so people can always follow. Just Google my name, and I pop up. I also have my IMDb. It's always great when people click on there. It helps me. Adds my popularity up there.
Yeah, you're going to be you're a rising creator, rising star. Personal assistant to me, the Marilyn Monroe show, all the Marilyn Monroe projects.
You on March 2nd.
Yeah, at the luxury gala viewing. Yeah.
So
Be sure to.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
we want all of you.
Accommodations with everything going on down there.
Yeah, that's a great deal. You know, we're going to be getting awards, and we're going to be showcasing the Barry Fay rockumentary on the big screen at the event in front of everyone in the whole world. We'll have a booth there, and we are going to present to the music industry 80% contracts for the artist, 80% for the artist, and 20% for us for doing it. Fair deal, right? Makes sense to me.
When I'm down there, I'm bringing a bunch of Canadians with me, and we're going to rock the red carpet.
Yes, we are. We're going to rock the red carpet. We'll do interviews. We'll take pictures on the red carpet. We'll be up there on stage getting awards. You know, we got Barry Fay coming with us, Chuck Slocum, Steve Miller, all the big rockers. You know, we're representing the icons of the motion picture industry, folks. We are icons with icons, and we're restoring order to contracts in the music industry. We're going to bring those to the table, and we're going to allow any rocker or musician with which to participate in a fair deal. A fair deal. 80% for you, 20% for us. All of this 0.000 pennies on $10 million is going to be obsolete. Have a good day with that, guys. We're back. We're the Barry Fay record label, and we're bringing it to the table. And, you know, I don't give a damn what people think. Have a great day. Yeah,
David, it's the same in the streaming apps for films. Exactly.
Yeah, unbelievable.
The music. Nobody's making money off the streaming apps. And it makes it really hard for people to earn a livelihood when we work so hard to get films up, and they go onto a streaming app and they get almost nothing. I saw someone that had over 10,000, no, how many? He had 100,000 views on his multi movies, and I saw his residual check was $39. I'm like, how can you live on that? Like, that is absolutely horrible. And the film industry is really struggling with the strike and with everything that's happening, and now with what's going on. And we've got to, as artists, we got to start taking it back so that we get the portion of what we're working for, that we earn what people are watching, not what CEOs are getting all of the money, because that's not right. Not that they
Yeah, we're not doing this to somebody because you got some little generic streaming platform and people listen to your stuff so you can make all our money off of us. Okay, so we're the artist and we're creating our own streaming platform so that we can get paid. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your little streaming platform, your little project. Okay, great. Have a good day with that. Okay, now we have Steve Miller, we got the Rolling Stones, we got Led Zeppelin, we got the Doors, we got Jimi Hendrix, we got Janis Joplin, we got Canned Heat, we got Cream, we got U2, we got all these big bands on this record label. And it's also a television label as well, which is Music Tracks Films. So before you had MTV, you had music tracks, you know, back in the day when you had Soul Train and projects like that, if you guys remember back in the day. So those, you know, our you know, record label is, you know, alive and well, and we're bringing that deal back so people can participate and make, you know, their money and make a good living at it, you know, along with the biggest names in the world in music and entertainment as their branding. Marilyn Monroe. My grandfather worked with everyone. Elizabeth Taylor, Judy Garland, Michael Welch, Dean Martin from the Rat Pack, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Jimmy Durante, you name it. My grandpa worked with everybody. So that's who I represent. That's who you represent. And we are showcasing and in collaboration with the biggest rockers in the world on the Music Tracks record label. Mm-hmm. So what a great deal, right? We're bringing all that back so people can participate. They can make money and get paid what they're worth. Because you're right, you know, the motion picture industry, these streaming platforms have been a tremendous stress on the box office. You know, you had the strike, COVID, all of that put a damper on it, all kinds of crooked things, you know, going down. But now we're back, we're alive and well, and we're participating in projects and moving forward in the future to create a fair, comfortable deal for everyone, including the fans. The fans are the most important person in the room, is the fan. We want the fans to get, you know, good, you know, seating, good quality, you know, projects with a fair deal. You know, instead of $1,000 for a ticket, you know, how about if we sell them to you for $100? You know, and you get a good seat, right? That's a better deal, right? So that way you can actually pack more fans that way. You can bigger venues, you know, for the price. So, you know, let's just give everyone a fair deal in the motion picture industry. When my grandfather was Elisabeth Taylor's booking agent and talent manager, she got 80%, or I think it was 85%, and my grandfather got 15% as her booking agent and talent manager. That's a fair deal, right? Especially when my grandfather got her the gig in Cleopatra, you know, big gigs like that, right? That's a fair deal, right? So, you know, Elizabeth Taylor, they weren't going to hire her on the lot. They told her she was too fat. And she went and told my grandfather, and my grandfather called those film directors. You got it all wrong, guys. Elizabeth Taylor's my actress. She gets the part. And that's how that went down. And so that's what we're going back to in film. You know, with the 80-20% contract as, you know, independent filmmakers. We're not I'm not SAG-AFTRA. I work with SAG-AFTRA approved directors that make my projects, but I don't have anything to do with that. I'm not administrative corporate red tape or some greaseball in the back that's going to ream you for what you've got coming to you. I'm going to pay you what you deserve, what you got coming to you. It's going to be a good quality project. It's going to be good, you know, cinematography, good DPs, good people to work with. Good people that you can trust, because in the entertainment business, you know, people will smile in your face seeking to discover an opportunity to stab you in the back at the drop of a hat. So that being said, it's taken me 3 years to develop a team of people that I can trust and bring together with which to create tremendous, grandiose projects on the horizon in the near rosy future that will be successful. They'll be quality. People will view them. They'll like them. There's something from the golden age that Hollywood can appreciate. And we're bringing and facilitating those old contracts are coming back through us, the entertainers, you know, with the biggest names in the world are bringing those back to the table. So that's going to be great. You're my personal assistant. You're going to be a full participant in that project. And I would like everyone to, you to announce to all the viewers out here on the show today, on the Marilyn Monroe Show, Sherry, where they can find you, your Instagram, your Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all those different streaming platforms and projects that you have, and where they can find your all your projects. Let everybody know.
Like I mentioned, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and just Google my name. Like, my name is my brand, which is something that's pretty neat. Not everybody gets their name as their brand.
What a great deal, huh?
I've got possible documentary another documentary in the works. And I've got scripts. Like, I always got something on the go. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about 2025 is our year.
Yeah, it is. 2025 is a big year. We got grandiose projects on the horizon in the near rosy future. They're going to be absolutely blockbuster. They're going to be quality projects. There's going to be good cinematography. It's going to be good scoring, good quality names attached to our projects. Biggest names in the world: Marilyn Monroe, and we've got Chuck Slocum and the Steve Miller Band. Very favorite record label that everyone can look forward to. Be sure to contact me or Sherry if you want to purchase discount tickets, if you buy bundles of tickets to the Oscars Luxury Gala viewing by Samira Kamenzi at 555 Universal in Hollywood, California, at the Universal Sheraton on March the 2nd, 2025. It's the biggest networking event in the world, folks. You got people coming from all different countries. I've already invited a Middle Eastern guy who's going to be coming and sitting at my table. I got some people from back east that are independent filmmakers that bought a bunch of tickets. They're going to be sitting at my table. I got a Sicilian guy that does Rambo-type movies, Virgil. He's going to be sitting with me at my table. I sold him some tickets. So if you want to come down and participate with the biggest names in the world, come on out to the Oscars Luxury Gala viewing, March 2nd, 2025. You can see me and Sherry. And once again, this is David Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew, with the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV. Tune in every Sunday morning, the morning show, with your host, David Peace Monroe, the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV. That's jessfm.ca or www.jessfm.ca. And we'll see you next week, folks. I love you, Sherry. I'll talk to you later this afternoon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
And we support all our firefighters and first responders for Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
And our prayers.
heart.